Well, good morning. How are you all today? And welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I am Steve Smith, and if you would like to have a cup of coffee with me, go grab yourself a cup, preferably out of a Stonemont Integrative Preparedness mug. But if you have something else, go ahead and get it, and we'll drink a cup together while we talk about whether it is time to separate. Well, somebody asked me, yeah, you can get these on our website, stonemont.us. The best mugs in the world. Um, there's a lot going on in the world, isn't there? And it's getting to the point where it's getting really tough to keep up with what's going on. You know, if we look at what's going on in our country domestically, if we look at the world situation, if we just look at what's going on now between Israel and Iran and the United States and Russia and all these kinds of things, it is impossible to know the truth. I'll just put it that way. A lot of people think they know the truth. I've known for 50 years that if I just listen to the news, I don't know the truth, right? You probably do too. So what is the truth out there? Well, no, not that long. 40 years. I woke up 40 years ago. What is the truth? And is it dangerous not to know the truth? And I will contend that it is dangerous not to know the truth. And so if we can't know the truth, I know I'm wrapping this up, and if we can't know the truth, we live in a dangerous world. Now that's probably nothing new, right? For you know that we live in a dangerous world. But what's the solution to that? You know, I've listened to a lot of people talk, and I've watched a couple of other channels talking about what's going on with Iran and Israel and our bombing, and you know, did our you go to one site, one news site, and it was the greatest thing in the world, and our bombing missions were successful, and this is going to set everything, you know, in the right direction. Then you go to another news channel, and no, they didn't work at all. And all of the stuff that was supposed to be in Fordo had already been moved, and they'd filled up their tunnels with dirt, and it had no effect at all. And now we're really in the dumps on this deal. And you know, those things are reflected in different YouTube channels, preparedness channels, and what somebody espouses depends on, you know, what information sources they go to. And so you'll find, you know, some channels say, yeah, this is the greatest thing and we're on the right road now, and others will say, oh man, this is just the worst thing that's ever happened. I am under no illusion that I know what in the world is going on with that. Let me take a sip. But I do know what's going on with some other things. So let me take a sip, and then I'll get to those things that I think I know. Okay. I know that things are screwed up in this world beyond belief, and there's nothing that you and I can do to fix it, right? Right. I know that things are screwed up in this country beyond belief, and there's nothing you and I can do to fix the big problem. We can fix the problems. We should do those things that we can. We should speak up for the truth as we know it. We should work for and uphold the values that we stand for. We should continue to try to influence people toward what we believe is the truth, and to that extent, we do the Lord's work, right? And if we refuse to do that, and I don't understand people who won't, if we refuse to do that, we're just taking ourselves out of the fight. That seems a little bit arrogant, but we're taking ourselves out of the process. We should be involved to the extent that we're still trying to have an impact and effect on the world around us, because that truly is the only hope, right? And to that extent, you know, we need to be informed. We need to know what's going on. We need to know what we stand for, and we need to be able to communicate that to people. But I will say this, that I believe that our country is fragmented beyond repair. You know, it is like a cup, certainly not a Stonemont mug, which would never fracture, Do you like this? Stone Mountain, Where Life is Good. That's, by the way, if you're new, that's the name of my book series. And Where Life is Good, because if you've read my series, you know that I write it about how life ought to be, right? And Semper Paratus, always ready. But it's our country is like a coffee cup that has been dropped so many times. It's got cracks here and it's got cracks there, and it's got chips in the rim and a crack on the bottom and cracks on the side. And you keep drinking out of it because it's the cup that you like, right? It's the cup that you're used to. It brings back good memories. And you're just going to keep using it until it falls apart. Well, guess what? The day will come where there are so many cracks, it will fall apart. And I have just recently come to and I've gone through this for 40 years, up and down and up and down. The country is beyond repair. Oh no, I think we can fix it. No, the country is beyond repair. No, I think we can fix it. And if you have read, as I have suggested many times, John Glubb's Fate of Empires, you see that most empires, which the United States is, they last about 250 years. I won't go through the whole thing, but it traces all of the empires that have risen, and it takes it through its steps of the beginning, the genesis of the empire, the ascendancy, the apex, the peak, the descendancy, the collapse. And we are, if we're not in the first parts of the collapse, we are certainly in the mid to latter part of the descendancy. Read that. You can find it online. It's not very long, but you do have to pay attention when you read it. And just Google Fate of Empires by John Glubb PDF, and you can get it right up on your computer or on your phone. Read it, and you will say, that's us, that's America. Now, why do I say this? Because I have just recently come to believe that there are problems in our country that are greater than I thought. Now, I've always known that there were problems in our government. Okay, I've always known. I mean, I've said this many times before. Our people, the American citizens, don't feel the same way about things anymore. 50 years ago, even 40 years ago, most people, regardless of religion, race, political party, whatever, felt pretty much the same about the major things, right? Pretty much. Not now. I mean, people have very basic differences. And I think these differences are to the point that there is no chance of reconciliation because they've been driven. The right, if you want to say right left, the right are those of us who hold to basic American traditional values, okay? And the left is essentially communists. The Communist Party, which started here in the late teens, shortly after the Bolshevik Revolution, they have grown. And I've read the 45 goals of the American Communist Party that was set in their conference in the 50s. I've read that several times. If you want to read that, get Skousen's book, The Naked Communist, and read it. He shows in there, he says that he thinks that there's hope, and he gives certain suggestions on how individuals and groups and churches and things like that can combat the growth of communism. I think at the time he wrote it, he had hope there, and I think I did too. I don't have any hope for that anymore. And there's another reason. Well, there's a reason that the left is so far gone, that there's no coming back and there's no bringing them back, and yet they are American citizens. So, it's like the insane, crazy family member that, hey, you can't throw them out, right? They're family, but they're just gonna raise hell and create problems forever. And so maybe it's time you move out, right? But I have recently discovered that there is a racial problem in our country that is much deeper and wider than I had before understood. And I'm not new to this. I've told you, I lived through the race riots in 1968 in Kansas City. I've been well aware of the race problem in our country. I was a police officer some years after that in Kansas City. I worked the black areas. I've had people call me every name in the book. I understand, you know, that there was this racial disparity and only some racial hatred between blacks and whites. I've not seen much of it in the white community. I've seen some of it in the black community. I'm not going to spend a lot of time excusing that or explaining that. I don't care. I'm beyond caring about that. But what I've seen recently has surprised me, and I'll tell you what that was. Is I had a friend of mine, maybe a month ago or something like that. He started sending me a bunch of stuff that he said was spreading around the black community, and it surprised me. It was really just full on hatred against whites. I've never heard anything like it. And he said it's spreading. It is really spreading. He says these are the feelings in the black community. Now I had several people come on, and I said what a shame I thought that was, you know, and it's going to cause a pendulum swing and a backlash. And I had several people come on, well, a number of people actually, a number of people who I believe were white came on and agreed with me. And a number of people who said they were black came on and called me a racist. I wasn't saying anything that I said. I was passing this along what my black friend had told me. And yet they called me a racist. And they said, what, you know, you talk about this, you want a race war? Gee, I never said I wanted a race war. I said it was building up in the black community, and these people were coming on and essentially threatening me. Okay, that showed me something. Now, I got rid of them, banned them, but that showed me something. It showed me that what he was telling me, and there were some that came on and said, this is not the way that we blacks feel. Well, you don't know how blacks feel. I don't know how whites feel. I know how I feel, and I know how the people I know feel. You know how you feel, and the way, you don't know how blacks feel. You don't know how whites feel. Neither do I. Okay. But I'm sure these people were being kind of, they were being defensive. That's not the way blacks feel, and if you okay, well, I'm glad it's not the way blacks you feel. But that really brought something out. I mean, I just had so many people come on and call me a stinking racist for only passing on what a black friend of mine had said. That showed me how deep this division is, and the problem is that it seems to be growing. Okay. If it were diminishing, like we did see through, I think, a lot of years, okay, that's it. People are going to hate, right? But it seems to be growing. And just recently, my buddy sent me some more things, and I'm going to talk about this more on the American Revival channel. I don't want to get into really the depth here because this is about preparedness and my suggestion for it. This is they're spreading around this idea of the Willie Lynch letter. If you don't know what that is, look it up. Google it, Willie Lynch. And I explained to him that, hey, this has been shown to be a hoax years ago, and it was. Look it up. I'm not going to explain it, but it's going through some of the black community. It's not going to the black professionals. Okay, it's not going to the middle class blacks and doctors and lawyers and architects and all that. Nah, business owners. No, it's going through a very discontented minority, but. And I don't know, maybe my friend says it's a majority, but anyway, I'm sure it's not everyone, but it's enough. And then there's another book that's being sent through. I guess this is big on TikTok and all that, Twitter, X. What's the other book? No Sanctuary or something, and it's about a lot of lynchings of blacks. Okay. Well, this is being built up again. Now, thankfully, there are a lot of black channels that are pushing back on this. Moby Speaks is one, or was it Modi Speaks or Moby Speaks? Look it up. It's a young black woman in Africa talking about this. The Hodge twins talk about it a lot. There's several other, and a lot of this is being led by black YouTubers. The pushback against this insanity, but the insanity is there, and it seems to be growing. And I've never seen this kind of overt racism among blacks against whites so widespread. If you're a black person and you don't feel that way, great, you're my brother and sister, okay? So, you know, we don't have a problem, unless you come on and call me a racist, which I'm not, but I don't need to explain that to you, okay? So I think that the division is to the point to where that cup is about to crack. Because like Lincoln and many others said, nobody's going to beat us from the outside, but we're going to be beaten by enemies from the inside. And I think that the left-right balance is such, and I think that the racial problems are growing to the point that I don't see this country continuing. You know, when I say for very long, I don't know. Is that 5 years? Is that 10 years? Is that 50 years? I don't know. But it's heading in the direction of fragmentation. And we as preppers have to think, or preparedness-minded people, and if you don't know the difference, preparedness-minded person is what I prefer to call. I don't like the word prepper. But a preparedness-minded person who's made it a part of their life to the extent that they're not just preparing out of fear and the daily worry or fear, but they've made it a part of their life, and they use their preparedness as a way to improve their life today while preparing to live well tomorrow. And that means intergenerationally. Yesterday I made one about the parable of the prodigal prepper. It didn't get a lot of views because it wasn't about the end of the world, but it was an important lesson. If you didn't watch it, I'd suggest you go watch it. I also put it on the church channel. If you're not with us on the church channel, join us over there. You might like some of it. Stone Mountain Church, the link's down below. But preparedness-minded people prepare intergenerationally. We prepare not just to survive and live after the next whatever, but so that our next generation, our children, are set up better, and our grandchildren. You know, I said this the other day, that and it was about, some guy was talking about money. I did put this up on the financial, or I think I put it on the Patreon channel too. If you're not with us on Patreon, that link's down below. And that is, you know, the poor think weekly, or the very poor think weekly. The poor think monthly. The middle class think, well, the very poor think daily. Okay, the poor think weekly. The middle class think monthly. The rich, you know, think yearly, and the truly wealthy think decades and intergenerationally. And that's what you need to be doing, and that's what we need to think about in this, whether our country is going to fragment. And I think when we think intergenerationally, I think it is going to, and so I believe that it's incumbent upon us to prepare for that. And that's exactly what I'm preparing for. How the collapse, how the fracture is going to happen, I don't know. Is it going to happen as a result of finally so many riots happening that it's just, you know, it goes through the raw to the arrow, you know, without rule of law to excessive rule of law, and then rebellion and civil war and all this. I don't know. I don't know how that happens, but I think it's going to. I don't see any way it won't. You know, it looks like we're taking care of some of our illegal immigration problem, and that's causing divisions within our country. You know, several good friends of ours are just vehemently opposed to what's being done with the immigration enforcement. And these are good people. They're nice people. You know, I know some of you could say, well, how could they be good? They are. They're good people. We disagree, and it might cost us our friendship. And I would be sorry about that when I tell them how I feel. But if that causes our friendship, I will be sorry, but it very well could. That's up to them, not me. I will still consider them friends. They will probably consider me racist. So how often does it come back to that? My Lord. So think about your ability to separate yourself from the system. We talk about this all the time. The basic concepts, precepts of integrated preparedness is to be able to live well, independent of all those external systems over which you have little or no control, right? Yeah. Okay. So think about that. Are you in a situation, and it there's a lot of things that go into it, financially, emotionally, mentally, geographically. Are you in a situation to where you can separate from the system? My dog's over here wanting to be petted. I know. I'm talking to the folks. All right. You want to say hi? You need to separate. You need to. If you're not separated from the system, I suggest you start working at it right now. Because it's impossible to understand everything that's going on in the world, but it is possible to understand how you're doing. Okay. So build that out. And the first thing that I would do, I wouldn't live in a city. I know there are other channels that say move out of the cities, and I think, I don't know what they mean by the cities. I live in the suburbs. I'm not moving out of the suburbs. I live in a very safe place. I would not live in a blue city. Okay. That's going to be real dangerous. And the blue cities are just going to keep getting bluer, because every attempt to fix things is just going to enrage the people in the cities more. And they're going to push back. Yeah, go lay down. Right? It's going to get more dangerous. So don't live in the cities. Move out. You want to live in a small town? Live in a small town. You want to live on a farm? Live on a farm. You want to live in the suburbs? Live in the suburbs. All those, you're going to be in pretty good shape. But prepare yourself to be able to live independent of the system, and then be ready, whether it's in the next 10 years or whether it's in your children's area. Prepare your family, your intergenerational family structure, to be able to make a move or separate from the system, whatever it is. And you can take a look at what state do you live in. Now, if I was in California, I'd try to move, maybe, I don't know. In pretty much every state, the cities are the problem, and the non-cities are great folks. We just got back from Washington. Kelly's cousin, I talked to him a lot. He said, man, I hate living in the state, but I love it here. That's what it's about. Beautiful, beautiful area. And but the state government sucks. Anyway, I think that we are coming to a fragmentation point, and the extent that you're going to be able to do well, and your family and your children, your grandchildren are going to be able to do well, is going to be dependent on the extent to which you prepare for it. And so if you haven't thought about that, I suggest you start thinking about it. And that's really what I think about. Okay. Now I want to tell you, before I let you go, the great plan on how to separate is the Stonemont series. I should have reminded you at the beginning of this, the Stonemont series, my books, the complete plan for preparing for, surviving, and rebuilding after a total collapse of everything. Some say it's the best post-apocalyptic preparedness series they've ever read. I thank them for that, and I don't mind passing that on because I want you to know how other people feel about it. It's 7 novels, continuous novels of the same story: the reversion, the revival, the renewal, and appeal to heaven, the blessings of freedom, hostages to fortune, on wings like eagles. And you can get them a couple of days. If you haven't read them yet, first off, you'll love the story. It's a great, if you like post-apocalyptic fiction, you'll love it. You'll love the characters, you'll love the story. It's just packed full of lessons. And you won't even realize how much you're learning. Backdoor, I believe, was one of our excellent commenters. He's with us also over on Patreon. I think he just said he has read through the whole series 5 times, and is just now reading the 7th book again. And he has a military background. He loves it. So I will pass his suggestion on to you. There's a couple ways to get it. Amazon, you can get them quick. You can get them all the time. You can't get them as the whole series. You have to buy them individually from Amazon. But you can get them from Amazon, and that link is down below. And if you want to know how to separate and get ready, this will tell you. Okay. There's another way, a better way, but I want to give you a warning on it. And that way, and I love it when you do it, is directly from me through our website, stonemont.us. But here's the but. It takes a long time. We are so backed up on orders. We're running about a month behind on delivering. I almost decided, I was wondering whether to say I'm cutting off orders, I'm not taking any more until we get caught up. But then I thought, well, okay, I can't. That's not my decision to make. It's your decision to make. Okay. If you want to order them from me, and I love it when you do that, because then I sign each one, I write a note in each one to you. You can get them as a set at a discount, and I throw in the Stonemont notebook for free if I'm near you. And I love it when you do that. But just be aware, it's going to take us some time to get them to you. Like I said, we're running somewhere around a month behind now fulfilling orders. I love it that so many people have ordered from us, but I just don't want you to be, fretting and disappointed and saying, well, it's taken so long. I know. So you do whatever you think is right for you, but whichever way you do it, this is going to give you the plan of how you need to prepare to separate from this system that is going so crazy. I think it's going to fall apart. How soon? I don't know how soon, but it's going to. Okay, so you can get that if you want to get them from me, stonemont.us. Same place you get these beautiful mugs that will never crack and shatter. Okay, stonemont.us down there. Do what is best. If you're willing to wait, I love it when you get it from me. If you want them fast, Amazon. So think about this. I am fully convinced that this country will fracture and fragment. How that in my series, I pretty much talk about how it fragments. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Do everything you can to be self-sufficient. Pay attention to what's going on in the world, but realize that, and I know most of you do, just understand that by watching the news and even by watching other channels, you don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. But we're responsible for what's going on with us, right? And that's what we have to pay attention to and concentrate on. All right. I'm going to go water my garden and do other things around here today and getting back to writing on book number 8. And you all get out there and do what you can to become more self-sufficient and get ready for that, so that when the whole thing falls apart, you're not falling between the cracks. All right? Okay. Remember what we always say: we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.